What's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be going over crossing over when sprinting and really getting a little bit more into how you can prevent that in order to run faster, make it so you can pick up more distance per step. And we're going to go ahead and hop into the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so I hope you guys like the new audio setup here. Going to be using this for the podcast as well as to make these videos. It's a little bit awkward to be able to do the same things with the screen recording, but hopefully overall the audio sounds better and is better, and I'll eventually get used to having this microphone in my face. The big thing that we're going to be looking at here, and we could see the athlete on the right. Obviously, he's on the curved treadmill, and a lot of times you see the same type of thing. If anything, it might even be potentially worse when not on the treadmill in comparison to when on the treadmill. And there's really two things that I think end up causing this, and we'll get into both of them obviously, but the biggest thing is going to be to me how foot leaves the ground. And I always make sure to mention this, like, just because this is obviously me here on the left, I'm not trying to say that I have the greatest sprint form in the world, but this is, I would say, or I would argue, is one of my strengths overall, is that I'm pretty good with my ability to really transition off the ground. I would say my front side and my back side mechanics need to get a little bit better, but my ability to transition off the ground is pretty good. And in comparison to this, so you can see as my foot's coming off the ground here, we really want to be able to get this heel to be as straight up as possible. So one of the reasons that we'll see people cross over is when that knee really ends up getting pretty far inside compared to the heel, as that foot's either transitioning off the ground or when it transitions off the ground. So there's some degree of that internal rotation that's actually good, right? So I'd almost say that I'm limited in the amount of internal rotation I would want to be getting at a push off there. So it'd be like perfect to be like this range, let's say, when your foot's coming off the ground. Then you can see with this athlete, he gets really too wide there. And so what happens typically when you get into that position, and we've talked about this before, is as this knee comes straight through, we really want to make it so, and because I don't get very much internal rotation, my knee is actually a little bit too wide. It would be better if my knee was a little tighter. So as the knee that's off the ground, the knee that is going through like a transition phase, or the transition cycle would be the, I guess, scientific way of being able to describe it. But you can see that the knee would want to be closer to the knee that's in contact with the ground. So the space there ends up being important. And a lot of times we'll see with these top sprinters, like that foot is actually slightly outside of the knee as the foot is transferring through. And this athlete here actually does a pretty good job with being able to transition through with the knee here. And this is another reason why we'll see an athlete cross over as they're sprinting, is that as they're going through, the bottom of the foot ends up kind of facing to the side here, okay? And so what you want to have happen, and this is the second most common reason why this is going to happen, is because you can see, again, with the bottom of the foot is facing a little bit more off to the side in comparison to keeping that foot facing straight down, or the bottom of the foot facing straight down, or really getting that big toe to be able to reach all the way up the best you can. So you can see for me, I get that foot all the way out in front. So now when I pull, I can pull my foot a little bit more in to out, right? So my foot's here, right? Or we could say like my big toe's here, tighter. And then as I'm pulling, you could see that my foot would land, maybe in the same position, maybe a little bit more out, however you want to kind of deem that, I guess. Where we could see here, his big toe is a little bit closer to there. And then as he's striking the ground, that big toe is going to be moving slightly more inward, okay? And that's what's going to cause that crossover, is if we don't have good control or good dorsiflexion. I mean, there's a wide range of different things that could be causing this. There could be a lack of internal external rotation. There could be a lack of range of motion when the ankle, or a lack of dorsiflexion. There could just be a overall coordination issue, right? Just having or being more coordinated within that lower part of the leg could end up making a big difference. All of those things are going to end up crossing or helping you in improving the crossover. Could also be and so we could see he's really stuck in like that external rotated position. So, getting more internal rotation would be a benefit for him. Also making it so he can get more extension in the hip. Understanding how to extend in the hip would also be beneficial, and being able to really correct this from the beginning of the sprint all the way into the top end speed. Like you can see, really, that one's really big where he's crossing over there and making it so that foot's coming across a good amount. So really being able to understand those two things are going to make the biggest difference, I think, in being able to address that crossover. You want to be able to be aware of that and work on it when you are not just going through and, like, I guess, warming up or working at some type of tempo rate. You really want to be able to feel that and understand that when you get to your top speed. That's why I'm a big proponent of, one, taking video of yourself from behind. So then you see what it is you're doing within your steps, because you want to be able to be aware of a few different things. One, how much distance are you covering per 10 meters or per 10 yards when you're at your top speed? So then am I covering good distance based off of my height? And based off of what information you get on that, I would say you want to be able to see, is there anything that you're able to do or work on from that frontal plane position? And really this side ends up getting a pretty good understanding of the frontal plane as well as the transverse plane, right? So we're able to see how you are moving in your body kind of side to side, as well as get an idea of what's going on from a rotational aspect. When you look at it just from the side, the issue is that really you just get to see more of like a sagittal plane. So it's like, how good are you doing with your front side mechanics, or how far out in front are you getting? You could see where you landing with your foot underneath your hip, and then you could also see the overall range with the backside mechanics, but it doesn't paint the full story of what's going on when it comes to sprinting. And I, again, like the backside, and just because I think the backside you could see a little bit more when it comes to the stability and things like that. You could see more when it comes to what's going on with the shoulders and how everything is being coordinated within the hips. A little bit harder to see that from the front side. You can see it from the front side, but I'm a big proponent. Anybody that's in my programs knows I always want to be seeing the backside, and really just for the feet and being able to understand how the feet are moving, so then we can help in being able to really create great opportunity to be able to fix things like crossing over, right? Like if we're aware of this particular issue, now we're going to look at it in your start, we're going to look at your drive phase, we're going to look at your top end speed and make it so you can cover a lot more distance for one, which is going to make it so your times get better. And we're going to also make it so you can create more power into the ground, because what's happening here is, one, you're losing power, two, you're losing distance per step. And once you can start correcting that, it's going to make a big difference in your overall top speed, because you're going to be able to cover more distance. And when you can cover more distance faster, that's what speed is. So we want to be able to make this as simple as possible. And I think being able to really see this and gives us the opportunity to say, okay, this is what we work on, and this is how we can get you to be able to run faster. So yeah, I hope this information makes sense to you. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. Like the video as always, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep on producing great content like this, make you guys get faster, understand how to be able to get faster. I'm working on, and I'll probably have the link down below too. It's going to be a speed school, and I'm going to also be offering some different things here to end the month and the year, to make it so we could just add more value to sprinters, really make it so you guys can get into a program that really makes a lot of sense for you from a time perspective, from a money perspective, from a overall value perspective, give you the most information that we possibly can to make it so you could really run a lot faster here in 2023 and beyond. So definitely subscribe to the channel, be on the lookout for some of our videos, and as always, we'll talk to you soon.